Much like the use of tents, ducks and trucks are vehicles in Hogs of War that seem to be borderline useless. Now, I'm not talking in terms of concept, I'm talking about how little they are used within the game and ultimately what makes them unnecessary. In terms of functionality, ducks and trucks offer a very reliable method of fast travel across any area of the map that you're playing on, with the duck being used primarily on water and the truck on land. In the single player campaign, you can only find these vehicles on mission 15 and 19. The most obvious function of these two vehicles is their ability to pick up and transport an entire squad of pigs, with the added ability of being able to eject them wherever you please. Just be careful about where you do it though. Now, the duck is able to traverse land very quickly with the added bonus of being able to move across water. We're unable to test what would actually happen if a truck were to move across water due to mission 19 not actually having any, but most likely it would proceed to take damage in a similar fashion to how the tank would if you place it in water. We all know that if you manage to acquire a vehicle in Hogs of War, that the AI will tend to target said vehicle above all else, and it seems the duck and truck are no exception. What is particularly strange though, to me, is how on mission 15, the AI will continuously seek out the duck if you're using it. Like, what makes it so important? Yes, ducks and trucks offer 150 armor to the player, but it always seems weird how above all else the AI will purposely go out of their way to destroy your precious duck. Because of this, specifically in mission 15, you ultimately take the risk if you decide to jump into the duck, unless you have a commando or hero who can avoid taking damage from water. From what I can make out, it provides a quick method for you to transport your team to the tiny island in order for each pig to pick up a rocket launcher, but when you look at the overall objective of the mission and the enemies that you're facing, it does come off as a little pointless. The other obvious downside to this vehicle is the fact that if you decide to position the duck out on the water while you have most of your team inside, it can end up as a complete disaster. All the enemy spies are positioned next to explosive barrels, which granted you can produce a large amount of damage with if you combine it with the rocket launcher, but is it really worth it? You don't gain any extra medals from using the duck to transport your pigs, and I mean, where would you end up moving to besides the small island? 80% of the land mass on this map is in enemy territory, so it would be unwise to park up near them. Just like the use of tents in Hogs of War, the duck vehicle doesn't seem to fit in with the gameplay or the map it's used on. Instead, it just provides an outdated strategy that would fit more within the early version of the game compared to today, but we'll get onto that in a little bit. Meanwhile, over on mission 19, the obvious thing about the trucks is that it's your objective to destroy them. If you do, you are gifted a medal. If it wasn't for the left side wall climb, the trucks could provide a valid strategy of using their speed and maneuverability to transport your team around the map. It's made even more valid by the fact that this map has a lot of areas that you could hide the truck, so it would be less likely that the enemy pigs would be able to whittle down the truck's health like they could to the duck on mission 15. If we're talking damage, both the truck and the duck can produce a 20 damage hit if you decide to drive into enemy pigs, but it does come at the cost of your own turn. As far as Hogs of War's development goes, the use of some sort of amphibious transport vehicle has always been a part of the game. In the earliest version of Hogs, it was known as the Launch, which is described in the game design document as being a troop transport that operates solely on the water. It can carry up to 3 pigs or 1 vehicle and is able to deploy its cargo onto beachheads. So in essence, these launch vehicles were basically like the amphibious assault vehicles that you tend to see in classic World War II movies, most notably the likes of Saving Private Ryan. But no footage of these launch vehicles exists in the early builds of the game, but either way, this idea eventually morphed into 2 separate vehicles of the duck and the truck. Personally, I think these vehicles would have worked better in the older version of the game, mainly because the map sizes were bigger and the need for speed was a lot greater compared to today. The primary way to get from point A to point B in Hogs of War today is to move your pig from point A to point B. You don't really rely on vehicles to do it for you, as the likes of tanks and aqua tanks are just too slow, and of course artilleries and pillboxes just can't move. The big question here though is, could the duck and truck be used in a better capacity, either on other missions, other levels, and even in multiplayer? The fact that every other vehicle in the game is used in multiplayer except for the duck and truck is a little bit weird. I think that they could work, considering the fact that they don't actually allow the player to shoot from them. You can't use any weapons while inside a duck and a truck, which means that it would just be about the movement. They provide a clear-cut method of traversing around any given map, but they remain so underused, it is kinda sad. But if you could choose what mission or map to put these vehicles in, what or where would they be? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's get a discussion going as we always do. But in the meantime, that is going to wrap it up for this video. Don't forget, if you haven't already, come join the Hogs of War Discord. Follow me on Twitter, all of that sort of stuff. All the links are, of course, in the description. And I will catch you guys later for the next one.
Destination going.